Good news, the rockers actually survived for a change. Although one of them would die not much later. I have offended God, Tom said at one of the dinners the two men now called their bachelor nights. Streeter had brought spaghetti from Karamama, and cleaned his plate. Tom Goodhue barely touched his. In the other room, Gracie and Carl were watching American Idol, Gracie in silence, the former Emerson student hooting and gabbling. I don't know how, but I have. Don't say that, because it isn't true. You don't know that. I do, Streeter said emphatically. It's foolish talk. If you say so, buddy. Tom's eyes filled with tears. They rolled down his cheeks. One clung to the line of his unshaven jaw, it angled there for a moment, then plinked into his uneaten spaghetti. Thank God for Jacob. He's all right. Working for a TV station in Boston these days, and his wife's in accounting at Brigham and Women's. They see me once in a while. Great news, Streeter said heartily, hoping Jake wouldn't somehow contaminate his daughter with his company. And you still come and see me. I understand why Jan doesn't, and I don't hold it against her, but I look forward to these nights. They're like a link to the old days. Yes, Streeter thought, the old days when you had everything and I had cancer. You'll always have me, he said, and clasped one of Goodhue's slightly trembling hands in both of his own. Friends to the end. 2008, what a year. Holy fuck. China hosted the Olympics. Chris Brown and Rihanna became nuzzle bunnies. Banks collapsed. The stock market tanked. And in November, the EPA closed Mount Trashmore, Tom Goodhue's last source of income. The government stated its intention to bring suit in matters having to do with groundwater pollution and illegal dumping of medical wastes. The Dairy News hinted that there might even be criminal action. Streeter often drove out along the Harris Avenue extension in the evenings, looking for a certain yellow umbrella. He didn't want a dicker, he only wanted to shoot the shit. But he never saw the umbrella or its owner. He was disappointed but not surprised. Dealmakers were like sharks, they had to keep moving or they'd die. He wrote a check and sent it to the bank in the Caymans. In 2009, Chris Brown beat the hell out of his #1 nuzzle bunny after the Grammy Awards, and a few weeks later, Jacob Goodhue, the ex-football player, beat the hell out of his bubbly wife Cammie after Cammie found a certain lady's undergarment and half a gram of cocaine in Jacob's jacket pocket. Lying on the floor, crying, she called him a son of a bitch. Jacob responded by stabbing her in the abdomen with a meat fork. He regretted it at once and called 911, but the damage was done. He'd punctured her stomach in 2 places. He told the police later that he remembered none of this. He was in a blackout, he said. His court-appointed lawyer was too dumb to get a bail reduction. Jake Goodhue appealed to his father, who was hardly able to pay his heating bills, let alone provide high-priced Boston legal talent for his spouse-abusing son. Goodhue turned to Streeter, who didn't let his old friend get a dozen words into his painfully rehearsed speech before saying "you bet." He still remembered the way Jacob had so unself-consciously kissed his old man's cheek. Also, paying the legal fees allowed him to question the lawyer about Jake's mental state, which wasn't good. He was racked with guilt and deeply depressed. The lawyer told Streeter that the boy would probably get 5 years, hopefully with 3 of them suspended. When he gets out, he can go home, Streeter thought. He can watch American Idol with Gracie and Carl, if it's still on. It probably will be. "I've got my insurance," Tom Goodhue said one night. He had lost a lot of weight, and his clothes bagged on him. His eyes were bleary. He had developed psoriasis, and scratched restlessly at his arms, leaving long red marks on the white skin. "I'd kill myself if I thought I could get away with making it look like an accident. I don't want to hear talk like that," Streeter said.